Supervisors, and esteemed ladies and gentlemen of Hinds County, would you please pray with me? Father, as we've opened this day with glorious hymns of your praise, we thank you for the opportunity to serve in the Hinds County Board of Supervisors as citizens and as this board. Father, we ask you today to give your wisdom from the throne of grace in this time of the celebration of the birth of the Lord Jesus Christ, God with us, Emmanuel. I thank you, Father, for your presence in this room. I thank you for your presence in every heart of every person on this board. Father, give them your mind today and your heart as decisions are made for the best interest of this county and its citizens. We give you all the glory and all the honor. We pray your blessings upon every member of the Board of Supervisors and the citizens of Hinds County. And Father, we thank you that 2014 will be a tremendous year of blessing for this county. We thank you for blessing everything that we set our hands to for your kingdom purposes, and especially for this board. We give you all the glory and all the honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor Moore. Public hearings, bid openings, service bins. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, board members. I have the honor to issue service awards pins to Hinds County employees for their years of service with Hinds County. Today, we are honoring several employees for their years of service. The first would be Bobby Jenkins from Central Repair. And on behalf of Mr. Jenkins, I believe it's Mr. We'll make sure he get it, but Mr. Bobby Jenkins with Central Repair had 15 years of service. Next, from County Court, we have Paula Cable. She has 20 years of service. I don't believe she's here today with us, but we'll make sure she receives her pin. From Justice Court, we have two employees, or one employee from Justice Court. That is Lakeisha Schuler. I don't think she made it today. And then we have Constable Lawrence Funches, both with 5 years of service. From the Extension Services Department, we have Teresa Hand with 15 years of service. From Public Works, two employees, Ricky Nelson and Lewis Mason, both with 10 years of service. And from the Sheriff's Department, we have Michael Rotten, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, with 5 years of service, and Gregory McNeil, 5 years of service. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, we congratulate these employees, and I will make sure they receive their pins.
Thank you very much. Above and beyond?
Not today, sir.
All right. We'll continue our printed agenda. Going to our elected officials, we'd like to start with Judge Owens. She's present. If she's not present, then we'd go to our election commissioners. Commissioner Cochran. I also notice that we have Commissioner Reed and Commissioner Rhodes here present as well. Good morning.
Good morning. The item that we had placed on the agenda, we've been asked by the legal department to table. So at this point, when they are comfortable dealing with this, we'll put it back on the agenda.
Okay, do you have any idea as to when that would be, or just dependent upon them, or?
In the next two meetings, I would hope.
Okay. Do you have something you want to add to that?
Anthony Simon, legal. Yes, we just haven't had a chance to review these documents, and we'd like an opportunity to check with the Department of Justice to make sure we don't have to get pre-clearance on these items, and we just asked for a couple of weeks to give us an opportunity to review it, and then we'll have a recommendation from the board.
Okay. All right. Is that good with you, Ms. Cochran, and everything?
Is it good with me? No, but that's the way it is.
Okay.
Anthony, do me a favor, when you check for pre-clearance, find out if going forward, any new items that we do regarding elections or anything to do with that has to have pre-clearance, because I thought that they lifted the pre-clearance requirement.
Will do.
Thank you very much. We'll continue with the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Lewis. morning.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Board. Today, we're coming to ask for approval to purchase some vehicles off of some grant funding. One would be the DUI grant fund, would be an interline transfer to purchase a Tahoe for the DUI unit. The next two, excuse me, would be two Dodge Avengers, which will be purchased with the 2009 JAG grant, and another Dodge Avenger, which will be purchased with the 2012 JAG grant.
Are all these the same grant?
No, sir.
Okay,
The
well,
DUI.
let's take the different grants one at a time, and so we'll take the first one, and then we'll go to the next one. So your first one's request for purchase for a DUI traffic SUV
Yes.
with one grant, okay? So what, it's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Now let's go to the next one.
Okay. The next one is, it would be to purchase two Dodge Avengers, which will be utilized by the school resource officers. These will be marked vehicles that will come off of the 2009 JAG grant.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
And the third vehicle will come off the 2012 grant. It has to be an unmarked vehicle, which will be used in investigations. It also will be a Dodge Avenger.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Question from Supervisor Stokes?
Sheriff, how many new cars have you purchased since y'all have been in office?
I don't have the exact number, Supervisor.
Any estimate, 20, 30?
It's probably been 40, maybe 45.
What happens to the older cars? I guess my question is, we're trying to get, I don't know if you want to call it a fleet or some models in your county. What happens when the car is older and replaced with these newer cars? Are they sitting around? What happens?
So, what we try to do is our fleet had so many miles on it when Sheriff Lewis took office that we're trying to get all the vehicles put into enforcement like patrol. We move those vehicles that we still have that are usable onto civil process and warrants divisions. Once we get to the point where those are moved out, central repair, we'll get with central repair and we'll take those off inventory and I think they sell them in. But central repair makes that call as to what needs to be deadlined.
How many total cars do we have in the sheriff department?
I don't know the exact number.
I believe it may be around 185 or so, we'll get the right number. Prior to today, I think some of the items on the agenda today are former vehicles that are being taken off.
Yes, and we have some vehicle supervisors out at our farm that we need to get off the inventory that they're not even being used. I think what you're asking is there's some that can be utilized in other areas, and I think that's something we can look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Those exact numbers for it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Sheriff?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. We'll continue with our printed agenda. We have the tax assessor present. Mr. Stokes, do you have an issue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, come forward, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, Vice President, board members. I just came back by because on last board meeting, came from the supervisors that we get an update on the telephones and where we are. And I kind of want to see where we are in that process and what's going on with it. And have the information then provided to the board of supervisors.
No information has been provided to me. I know that Mr. Bryant's still working on it. Mr. Bryant, do you have an update, you or Ms. Davis, as it relates to this issue?
Right.
Okay,
Good morning, Mr. President, board members.
good morning.
Yes, sir, we're still working on it. I have two departments that have furnished the information that I requested. The information I requested is per telephone in their office with the lines attached to it, so that we can get a good price to present to y'all. Right now, we have 71 phones that's been turned into us along with the numbers. And so we're getting all that cost value together, but we're trying to get the whole building in a whole. And I know it was asked to come back today, but I informed Ms. Davis that just wasn't able to come out with the exact price. We're estimating for the whole building approximately $200,000. But I
Okay.
will present y'all with a more exact figure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stokes. Any other questions or comments as it relates to that?
No, sir, other than the process is still putting us on hold.
Okay.
Towards the phones and stuff, so as soon as we can get it done, or is it possible, and I know, you haven't got the numbers yet, is it possible to allocate a certain amount of money so we can get started on the assessor's office, and then whatever's left or whatever's added, is there any kind of way that you could add those fundings to that?
I think we've done that in the past, but our attorneys have advised us to stop doing that. And so that's the only reason why we're not considering it at this particular point.
Okay.
Is they want us to be more in line with what we're trying to do, is to be a little bit more cohesive as to how we direct these particular policies as it relates to purchases. So that's the only reason why we've not done it on this particular time. So they've asked us not to operate that particular way, basically. Yeah. Peter, am I correct in that?
Yes, President, you are.
Okay, all right. So that's the only reason why it's not, and we do know that time is of the essence, and so we will move as quickly as we possibly can.
I understand. So is there a time limit for the rest of the officers in this building to get you that, get Ray Bryan that information?
I don't know. I do know that Ray's made it a priority, so we're moving as quickly as we can. So I just don't know the answer at this point. Ray, can you give us any more?
No, sir, I'm just waiting on the department of the third floor judge.
Okay.
Can we not ask him to be assigned with somebody in that department that's physically go over there and do it?
Oh, yes, I'm sure he has his point.
Yes, I have a point of contact there, Mr. Terrence, that oversees that floor with the court reporters and everything.
I guess what I'm asking, instead of waiting on the report, just go there with him and do the report.
Yes, sir, I can do that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Stokes?
Thank you, Mr. President.
That's all I have.
Mr. President,
Mr. Stokes?
tax assessor told us at the last meeting that the phone system is such poor condition that when people call, it cuts off on them and those kind of things. I would hope that even though we have to get other information from some other departments, that we can at least start moving forward. Because I think your busy season start right after Christmas. It's already started, people calling about it.
It started, but it's gonna really pick up after January 1.
After January 1.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way, once we get all this other information, if we have identified the funds where they can get ready to start work and find out what kind of time frame it's gonna take to make the completions and make the repairs, to do the new system and all those kind of things? We have to have an alternative system in place to make sure that the public, when they call, phones won't hang up on them, they can receive the proper information.
If we have all of his information, we just put it all together, come up with a price to him. And, we're looking at not doing the whole building at one time, because we're gonna have to do each office kind of separately in our step plan. Because of transferring phone numbers over to what's called a PRI, the call manager system. And then programming, because, talking to IT, not only the phones being programmed, but the computers, the printers, and all will have to be reprogrammed to go into the system.
Is this something that's gonna have to be bidded out? I guess I'm coming to. Can we do it as a quote, is this something that can be bidded out, it's gonna take more time? And I guess, do you know whether or not it's gonna be bidded out? Or do we have people already?
In public service, some of the switches are on state contract, but the phones are not. And the phones we're looking at is the IP phones. Right now, I have a phone for $273 per phone, that come with a lifetime warranty. But those have to be programmed into our system.
What kind of time frame?
I'm gonna say at least 2 to 3 weeks to do all of it, but we can take one office at a time and get it up running and then go to another office.
So is it 2 to 3 weeks to get the phone program, or 2 to 3 weeks to get the information to program the phone?
No, it's gonna be 2 to 3 weeks maybe to program the phones and get all the switches and everything programmed.
So we still got the bidding on the purchasing part, which is what he's asking.
I'm not sure if this is bid or a public service.
Some of them may depend on whether it's a sole source and also the amount we're talking about. How many phones are $273? There's more information needed before a legal opinion can be written.
Is there any alternative, I guess I'm asking, because they're backed against the wall, the citizen's gonna be calling, phone's gonna hang up on them, they're gonna think they're not getting service. Is there any alternative that we can use? I think your busy time is from January to what, like March or April?
Right, from January all the way through until June, July, August, when the roads ran and still dealing, taxpayers still calling in.
Is there any alternative that we can use for phone service for that kind of period of time, for maybe 6 months?
Well, it's just through AT&T, it's the Centrex phones that he has, that's the whole thing that we have right now. And Mr. Stokes, just to let you know, and it's not to put blame on anyone, but for the last 3 and 4 years, I have requested through the communication budget to upgrade these phones. And I was not given the money to do that through the board.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stokes. I think that we got the message. We're going to work on it as quickly as we possibly can. I think everyone has the message as to what we need to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We now look for the constable. Constable Lewis.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Without a majority of the constables here, I don't want to move forward today. I request to move to the next meeting.
Okay.
When will that be? The
6th of January.
6th of January?
Right.
Before you leave, Mr. President, the issue of the bulletproof vests, Ms. Wood just stepped out. Ms. Davis, have we corrected that in terms of bulletproof vests that we said we want to get the constables? My understanding was that they were told they had to get, not stop the bullets. And we tried to make sure that was changed. And I talked to one of the companies that they haven't heard anything.
I will have to follow up with that.
We'll follow up and give you an answer on that. How about that? We'll put that in on the next meeting. That sounds good.
Okay.
One question, could you verify the Senate bill that was listed on the agenda? I don't think that number is correct. I couldn't.
24, I'll give you some paperwork if you like.
Okay, thanks.
20, Senate Bill 2405.
Say it again.
There were 2 issues, but it was 2405 and another was the collection agency contract.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Ms. Calhoun, I missed your button. Do you have anything else? Okay. Before we go to the approval of minutes, Supervisor Stokes has one issue that he's requested that he be allowed to move up on the agenda. Supervisor Stokes?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have a young lady that we're gonna honor, and she's in school today, and I know they're testing, and I'm gonna ask Colonel Paul Willis, who's the Director of Army Instruction for Jackson Public Schools, and Major Branch to come forward. We're gonna honor Ms. Minifield. Yeah, I know. We're gonna honor Ms. Minifield, but we want these gentlemen to tell how important it is that ROTC is for Jackson Public Schools and all the good things. And I know Colonel Willis told me some time ago that I think like 97% of young people in ROTC graduate and everything else. So we're gonna start with Colonel Willis, then we'll have Major Branch, and then we'll have Mr. Sanders to read the acknowledgement, please.
Okay.
Colonel.
Supervisor Stokes, thank you very much. President Graham, other supervisors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm very happy to be here to represent Jackson Public Schools Junior ROTC We do have a very strong JROTC program. In fact, our program is the largest in the state of Mississippi, one of the largest in the entire southeast region, with over 26% of high school students in Jackson enrolled in JROTC. The history of JROTC in Jackson goes back to 1936. Started at Central High School, stayed there until 1971 when it transferred to Lanier High School. The program is a tremendous success. As Supervisor Stokes mentioned, well over 90% of our graduates are formally accepted to post-high school institutions of higher learning every year. Our students average over 30,000 hours of community service throughout the Jackson metro area. Our students are admitted to universities across the state of Mississippi, as well as various military academies in the United States. This morning, we are here to honor one of the top students in our program. The Junior ROTC, or the United States Army, awards about 25 students across the United States with the highest award a cadet can receive. That is the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross. We are very pleased that one of the students out of 25 nationwide to receive that award is this young lady, Cadet Deanira Minifield of Jim Hill High School. Ms. Minifield is a scholar, athlete, and leader. She's a senior in her class, and she is well on her way to being accepted to the United States Air Force Academy. We're very proud of this young lady, and we're very proud that the Board of Supervisors have taken the opportunity to recognize her. Her instructor is here along with her mother. We're proud to have them. Major Branch will also have a few words to say about Ms. Minifield.
Good morning.
Good morning.
President Graham, other members of the board, audience. I'm elated to be standing before you to talk about not only this outstanding cadet that's standing to my right, who is one of the top students, not only in JROTC at Jim Hill High School and top student at Jim Hill High School, but one of the top students in the nation. And we're proud that she achieved all of the accolades, and we are definitely proud that you're honoring her today. This young lady, our goal is for her to be one of those $1 million babies. At Jim Hill High School, our goal is to have on class night $1 million babies that have scholarship offers. And her goal is to be one of those $1 million babies that come out of Jackson Public Schools this year with offers not only to the Air Force Academy, which is our #1 choice at this point, but to have other opportunities, because that's what we're all about in JROTC, providing opportunities. And then when you come March, April, then that's when parents and students get together and decide what is the best of those opportunities for them and their child. So this is one of our future $1 million babies, so you'll be looking in the paper and see her May, June time frame. Thanks again very much.
Thank you very much.
Sanders to read the resolution, please.
Yes.
The Board of Supervisors of Hinds County, Mississippi commends Ms. Deanira Minifield for being selected to receive the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross Award for achievement. Whereas Ms. Deanira Minifield is a cadet lieutenant colonel and a cadet battalion commander at Jim Hill High School in Jackson, Mississippi. She has been selected to receive the Legion of Valor Bronze Cross Award for her achievements. This is the highest award a Junior Reserve Officer Corps cadet can receive. This honor is bestowed annually upon top JROTC cadets across the nation who excels in academics, leadership, and community service. Whereas more than 500,000 high school students are enrolled in JROTC across the nation. However, only 23 Army, 16 Navy, 6 Marine, and 1 Air Force cadets nationwide were approved for this award in 2013. Cadet Minifield of Jackson, Mississippi is the only Jackson Public School Army JROTC cadet to receive this prestigious award this year. She is truly an example of the whole person concept, scholar, athlete, and leader. Whereas Deanira is ranked 7th out of 243 students in her senior class with a cumulative grade point average of 4.21 on the International Baccalaureate 5.0 scale and an ACT score of 22. She is captain of Jim Hill's softball team, a member of the soccer team, and was previously a member of the volleyball team. Whereas Cadet Minifield is #1 out of 284 cadets in Jim Hill's JROTC program and one of the top cadet leaders in our state. Deanera exhibits nothing but excellence and has the perseverance to seek tasks through to the end. Deanera is poised and mature beyond her years with an unequaled thirst for knowledge and increased responsibility. Whereas Deanera has high morals, is very disciplined, courteous, and always concerned about helping others. Cadet Minifield plans to attend the Air Force Academy, where she will become a JAG officer, Judge Advocate General, in the United States Air Force. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Timothy and Angela Minifield, Sr. Deanera has 3 brothers. Be it resolved and ordered this the 16th day of December by the Hinds County Board of Supervisors.
So moved, Mr. President.
So moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, we'd like to present Ms. Minifield this resolution from Hinds County Board of Supervisors, congratulating her for her hard work and telling her that we wish her much success. Congratulations to the military people and her mother and father.
Thank you very much. Let's give her a hand. Just like to say just a word or two. Go right ahead. We're not going to bite you. Go ahead.
On behalf of President Graham and the board and Mr. Stokes, I would like to say thank you for the appreciation, and I look forward to doing more good in our Hinds County until I leave.
Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
May I just recognize 2 other instructors from Jim Hill High School?
Certainly.
JROTC, will you please stand? That's Master Sergeant Corley, and that's Master Sergeant Cook.
Okay, welcome.
Cook.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll continue with our printed agenda. It's always good when you can have something like that happen because unless you talk about it, no one ever really knows. But it's good to have those type of activities. Thank you very much. Greta, are you okay? We'll now have the approval of minutes.
Good morning, Mr. President and
Morning.
members of the board. We have the minutes of December 2nd, 2013 for your approval.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to your claims for this morning. Last week, the Chancery Clerk's Office presented you with a packet for your claims for this morning. The first item in that packet is a schedule of an interfund loan. This is a loan to the General County Fund from the Industrial Park Fund in an amount up to $750,000. And this is to defray additional expenses in the month of December.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next item in the package is also a schedule of an interfund loan. This is a loan to the Jackson Hinds Library System Fund from the Industrial Park Fund in the amount of $50,000.
It's the pleasure of the board. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
The next item is also a schedule of an interfund loan. This is to the Hinds County Economic Development Authority Fund from the Industrial Park Fund in the amount of $30,000.
So it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next item in your packet is a schedule of an interfund transfer. This is a transfer to the Road Maintenance and Construction Fund from the Series 2007A Tax Exempt GO Bond Fund. This is in the amount of $25,000, and this is for Presidential Drive in District 2.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So,
It's been moved, is there a second?
second.
It's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
The next item in your packet is also a schedule of an interfund transfer. This is a transfer to the Road Maintenance and Construction Fund from the Series 2007B Taxable GO Bond Fund in the amount of $37,000, and this is for the resurfacing of John F. Kennedy Drive Phase 2 in District 2.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly second, all those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
The next two items on your draft claims order are going to be held pursuant to a request from the legal department.
Okay.
The next item is an interfund transfer also. It is again to the Road Maintenance and Construction Fund from the Series 2007A Tax Exempt GO Bond Fund. It is in the amount of $17,974.03, and this is for the Morgan Avenue Walking Trail in District 5.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We have several special claims this morning. The first of those is to Bernini, Grantham, Brower, and Hughes, and it is in the amount of $67,785.48, and this is for eminent domain services and condemnation work for the Bernini Priester law firms from February 2013 through October 2013.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next special claim is to Howard Technology Solutions. Supervisor Stokes, we are on special claims. We are on special claim to Howard Technology Solutions. This is being paid out of the 2010 JAG grant for the District Attorney's Office. It is in the amount of $2,832.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting, Mr. President.
One not voting, motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next special claim is to CDWG. This is again from the 2010 JAG grant for the District Attorney's Office. It is in the amount of $2,821.95.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting, Mr. President.
One not voting, motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next special claim is to Business and Office Connections, and this again is for the 2010 JAG grant for the District Attorney's Office. It is in the amount of $3,977.24.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting, Mr. President.
One not voting, motion passes.
Thank you very much. And the final special claim this morning is to the Apple Store, or Apple Incorporated. It is in the amount of $3,747.60, and this is again from the 2010 JAG grant from the District Attorney's Office.
It's a pleasure of the board.
So moved.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and properly second, all those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting.
One not voting, motion passes.
Thank you very much. We have one claim remaining from the November 18 docket, and it is claim number 784 to Airway Consultant Company.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved, Mr. President.
It's been moved, is there a second? I'll second, it's been moved and properly second.
This is for the 911 maintenance in the amount of $67,075.71 for Airway Consultant Company.
Is there a date on that time frame? That deal?
I believe this should be October services.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second, all those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to?
No.
Okay. Motion passes, continue please.
Thank you very much. Your claims this morning are claim numbers 1,113 through 1,324. The first claim of interest this morning is over $100,000, and you're requesting that you void this claim. It was just a small mishap in our office. We entered the wrong amount, had to reissue it. So we would request that you void claim number 1,116 to Zurich North America.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Next claim of interest is claim number 1,226 to Prince and Associates PLLC. This is in the amount of $1,901.65 for assistant to the board attorney.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Your claims over $100,000 this morning are claim numbers 1,171 to Jackson Hinds Library System in the amount of $132,173 even. That is their December allotment. Claim number 1,304 is to Waste Pro Jackson in the amount of $181,589.63, and that is your residential garbage collection. And claim number 1,314 is to Quality Choice Correction in the amount of $188,825 even for November inmate medical services.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Question from Supervisor Stokes.
Mr. President, I guess a statement. My concern is about the library system and the situation happening with Charlotte moment. We're gonna have a public hearing here on Wednesday, Ms. Wednesday at 5 o'clock, dealing with some of the other issues dealing with the library system. Some of the people, some of the businesses that's in this group, I want to vote for, but I don't want to vote for the library system, so I guess I have to vote on all of them. Is it lumped?
Yes.
It's lumped.
Yeah, we can remove the library system and handle it separately if this,
Well,
if
you
you'd
don't
like
have to
to.
remove it, but I would just want to be shown as voting no on the library.
Okay, then you can vote no on all if you'd like.
Okay. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
That's for all of the claims?
No, this is just for the three claims over $100,000. For the Jackson Heights Library System, Waste Pro Jackson, and Quality Choice Correction.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let me make sure I have the vote correct.
So you're voting nay on all of them, or just on the Jackson Heights Library System?
Just on Jackson's library, I vote in favor of the other two.
Okay.
Then we'll need to take that one
No
out.
problem.
Okay.
I'll vote no
We need
on
to-
all of them.
Okay.
Okay. So motion passes 4-1. Okay. Thank you very much. Continue.
Thank you very much. The last item in your packet were your claims, your grant claims, they do appear to be in order. Mr. McWhorter, just for your information, there was no claim for Ms. Nikisha McWhorter Watkins. Okay, moving on. Your regular claims this morning are claim numbers 1,113 through 1,324, less claim numbers 1,116, 1,171, 1,226, 1,304, and 1,314, which you have already handled. We present the remaining claims for your approval at this time.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes.
We have the order approving the claims portion of the minutes for today, December 16, 2013, for your approval.
It's a pleasure of the board. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Continuing with our printed agenda, I have one item listed under my name as a presentation that will be an executive session by Porter Bingham, and it's regarding the county's budget, so we'll hold that for that particular portion of the meeting. We'll now go to the Honorable Mr. Darrell McQuater from District 2.
We're going to also table mine into the next meeting based off of legal counsel still checking into some different issues for us.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll now go to Honorable Ms. Peggy Calhoun of District 3.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 items on the agenda. The first item is to establish a policy for travel expenses. In the past, this board has always allocated $2,000 per supervisor and employee that serve at the will and pleasure of the board, $2,000 for travel. And in the past, the $2,000 allocation has worked very well, and all of us basically have stayed within the budget. And the only reason we can stay within the budget is because we prioritize those trips that were most important and most beneficial in the interest of Hinds County. I would like to move forward this morning in requesting the board to, again, establish a policy for $2,000 for travel for both supervisors and employees. However, I do recognize that on some occasions, there may be situations where one of us may have to come back and request additional fundings, and I suggest that that request will be made to the board if it's of necessity. But also, in establishing this policy, I certainly request that line item funds remaining cannot be transferred to another supervisor or to another employee. So my request is to establish a travel budget, a policy rather, re-emphasizing the $2,000 allocation that's already been set in our budget for year 2013 and 2014.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion. Supervisor Reed.
What is our total travel budget? Do you know what it is?
For the board members, 10,000.
Well, for everybody, countywide.
Well, it varies for the department.
And because I think what Supervisor Calhoun is asking is if you have a line item in an individual department that would stay in that line, that you would not.
It's specifically for the board of supervisors and its employees.
Supervisor Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Legal might need to guide us on this because I think that we have to have it as a lump sum.
That's correct. It's against state statute.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, you know, and the only reason I remember is because we had some of this at the city. And it was just understood that it's a lump sum and it's no, you can say you want to do it this way, that way, but there's no requirement that it's done like that. It's just a lump sum of money and folks there, you just go. That's how I understand it, but somebody else can say something. I don't know, Ms. Carter, you remember that the city used to came up because they tried to individualize it and it's a lump sum.
Supervisor Stokes, you are correct in that we have a lump sum budget. However, I think out of courtesy and respect for each other, we've always tried to be fair among the board members as well as with the employees in that, and utilize only $2,000 per individual. But the budget line item is established for the board at $10,000. And it's just out of respect for each other that individual supervisors have only taken advantage of $2,000. And there are other situations where, out of respect for each other, we know that we only have a lump sum budget, that we have respected each other in the distribution of funds.
Supervisor McQuater. I'm sorry, go ahead, Supervisor Stokes.
The only thing I'm concerned about with this issue, Mr. President, and I don't take trips since we've been with the county. I don't think I've had maybe one trip. I don't even go to the things that's in Jackson because the amount of money is so small. And it tends to lead to private companies influencing government because now you don't have the proper travel amount to go places. You take one trip to Washington, that's almost ate up your whole budget. So now private companies can come in and take members of the board on trips. So if this company take you on a trip, you're gonna be obligated to a certain amount to this company. So, you know, I think we need to rethink this whole thing because, you know, I would rather that you fund travel properly and you take trips, find out what you need to find out versus a private company where it's ABC, Mr. Garrett in the back taking us to Washington DC or somewhere else, because that's gonna show influence. And I think that's what needs to be ended. Thank you.
Supervisor McQuaid.
I need clarification on one of the last statements that you made concerning that monies could not be transferable. I'm in support of the policy. I am in support of what you're asking, but I just need clarification, because one of the things I realize and understand that some of the department heads are given so many different responsibilities, even in permitting and zoning. I had 3 different titles. So there was 3 different associations, 3 different meetings, 3 separate trainings that were involved in, where some agencies or some departments only having to answer to one. And I want to support it in a way that we know what you're going to spend at the beginning of the year, but is it fair to one that's traveling to having 3 different titles as opposed to one that has only 1 different title? A mechanism in place that even if you do go over budget, you can request additional funding in advance or as needed. We just need to know the line item and what amount you're spending is what I was concerned about.
Mr. President.
Okay, just 1 second. I'd like to, thank you very much. My only question regarding this issue is for legal, and that is you can't supersede state statute, so we can't institute a policy. We can institute a practice, but we can't institute a policy that's going to supersede that. As far as I know, it has to be 1 lump sum, and it can't be divided out, even though that we may have a practice of doing that. Ms. Calhoun?
Yes. The budget has already been established for 2013, 2014 at $10,000 for the Board of Supervisors. So I'm not asking anything that has not already been done. I'm just asking for respect to each other that we would only utilize $2,000. Travel budgets have already been established for the Public Works Director, for the County Administrator, and EOC Director. So I'm not asking for anything above and beyond the amount that has already been budgeted. In reference to individual supervisors of allowing companies to sponsor trips for us, I would think that would not be a very good, I don't know if it would be illegal or not, but I would assume it would not be ethical for us to allow other companies to pay for our travel. Now, in the past, we have contracted with companies in regards to some of our travel, but we have not individually allowed for companies to pay for any of our trips or any of our trips to Washington. So I think that would be a personal responsibility to the individuals, and certainly we cannot dictate that personal responsibility in regards to a particular supervisor.
Any other comments as it relates to this particular issue?
Yes, Mr. President.
Supervisor Stokes?
Again, I don't want to seem like I'm voting to do anything to supersede state law. That's the first thing that my concern is. That's why I would not support it. Again, I don't take them in. I don't travel with the county. Whether it's 2,000, I don't think it's enough. But I do know that Wagner has done business with this county and has taken board members on trips. Now, I know that. Now, for a supervisor to say that it's not occurring, that's the first thing from the truth. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. President, let
Ms. Calhoun?
again clarify what Supervisor Stokes has referenced to. As a part of his contract with us, the funds were, which is no longer a part of his contract, but as a part of the contract, he provided funds for our trips. So it's not that we were illegally taking trips. It was a part of his contract.
Well,
that
my
was signed.
position is, and Supervisor, I'm not trying to get in the back and forth, but my position is, it just seemed the wrong message to the public. It's the parents and the proprietors that somebody you doing business with, taking you on a trip, but yet you don't want to fund travel properly. You know, that's what I'm saying, you should fund travel properly, and you taking trips on the county dime, so that we'll see and know what's going on. Because now, anytime we vote, people take the trip, for a while, you know, people gonna start saying there's hidden influence, and that hurt government. Thank you.
Supervisor Calhoun.
Board attorneys. As I said, Supervisor Stokes, I can give you many specific examples where, out of respect to each other, funds were allocated. A lump sum amount was allocated for specific projects, let's say streets, bridges, recreation, etc., where there was a lump sum that was listed in the line item, in a line item budget. And out of respect for each other, each supervisor only utilized a specific amount of funds. When we're not illegally superseding any county law, when we have it listed on paper, the lump sum dollar amount for travel. However, if we were to say, Supervisor Stokes, you have a line item of $2,000. Supervisor Greer, you have a line item of $2,000. Supervisor Graham, you have a line item of $2,000. Supervisor McCurdy, you have a line item of $2,000. And Supervisor Calhoun, you have a line item of $2,000. And we would be in violation of the statute. When we designate $10,000 as a total lump sum for all individual supervisors, then we are in compliance, in conformity with the statute. It's when we separate those dollar amounts per individual supervisors. So we're not doing anything that is against the statute. I'm just asking again, out of the courtesy and respect for each other, that we have a policy where we will only utilize $2,000 each, likewise for the employees.
Okay, it's been moved and properly set.
Yes, Mr. President. I'm sorry, I think Supervisor Porter had a question. I wanted to make sure his question was answered. If I understand correctly, Supervisor Calhoun's policy suggestion is only for the board of supervisors and appointees. As relates to department, individual departments and department heads, that budget has been set out. I think this will apply to that. So address your concern.
Well, no, there's a specific line at the very end that you gave pertaining to no funds could be transferred or moved. It was the very last statement that you made over there.
An employee cannot, or supervisor nor an employee can arbitrarily just go and transfer. Let's say, for example, the county administrator has a travel budget of $2,000, and an employee of hers, such as Ms. Woods or Mr. Ryan, has a travel budget of $2,000. Ms. Davis cannot, because Ms. Woods has not utilized all of her $2,000. Ms. Davis cannot just arbitrarily go and transfer part of her funds to her travel budget. Likewise with the supervisors. In the past, we have had individuals to exceed even the total $10,000 that was allocated for all of us, exceed that amount 2 or 3 different times. We have employees that have expensive travel budgets. So I don't think that is appropriate, that we should stay within our travel line item budget, and that we should, out of courtesy again, respect each other for the amount utilized from that total lump sum budget.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? No. Motion passes. Mrs. Calhoun, continue.
Yes, sir. I have a letter here from the city of Jackson, or I have a request that came from the city of Jackson to write Mayor Lumumba a letter in support of their city's recycling efforts. The city is applying for a recycling grant and has requested the Board of Supervisors to support their efforts. And what we would be supporting is to provide cooperation with locating and sharing facilities for the main material recovery facility, coordinating educational and promoting activities for the programs. And we would do this coordination by encouraging our employees to recycle, develop recycling habits, as well as our various offices, also identifying and collaborating in pursuit of additional financial and material resources. And here again, that will be through letter of support and cooperation in evaluation activities. And again, I think that will be easily done.
So moved. It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Yes, sir. My third item is to pursue outstanding 911 service fees on the landline, mobile business, residential collections. It has been recommended that Hinds County take on an aggressive approach to collecting outstanding 911 fees based on information that we received from the Malachi Group in their financial planning. There were other recommendations, however, that the county has always utilized, but this particular one we have not. And based on the report from Malachi, Hinds County is currently getting paid for 911 fees, getting paid for only 230 lines. And I'm talking about both landlines and mobile, business and residential. According to Malachi, the FCC records show that we have a total of about 800,000 lines that Hinds County should be paid for, whereas again, we're only getting paid for 230 lines. 230,000 lines. And that's in again, in reference to business and residential landlines and mobile.
So moved.
Well, let me give you some. Let me give you some.
Second.
Let me at least give you some stats on how much we possibly could generate. Again, we are currently, just for landlines alone, residential landlines alone, we are only receiving pay for 71,000. But according to the FCC data, we should be getting paid for approximately 200 landlines. And so that means an additional $200,000 per month in revenue if we can actually pursue these, if we attain these collections, that is. So that would increase the county's revenue by $2.4 million per year. Now, calculated on the per month E911 charge of $1, that's what the estimate would be per year, and that is $2.44 million. Now, this estimate does not include a one-time revenue that could be collected that has not been paid for the past 2 years. So if we look at collecting revenue for the past 2 years, that would give us a dollar amount of $4.8 million. So pursuing both the 2.4, the ongoing revenues, and the 4.8 in 2014, then we could generate a total of $7.2 million. And so if there is a possibility that we can generate this amount of money, then I think we should capture the funds. So my motion this morning is to request the board attorney along with our EOC director to pursue the possibility of capturing these funds and to move forward in attempting to capture the funds.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. My only question is who are we going to collect it from?
The companies.
Or is it through the CMRS board?
No, the CMRS board is with the commercial mobile lines. So we can meet the various companies, the source of our collections. We collect from AT&T. I don't know if there's another telephone that we can connect that does the collection for us, but all of the various companies that are utilized as the provider of the funds.
Okay, Greta, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of this comes through the CMRS board. Am I correct?
No, sir. Many of the telephone companies that provide landline services, there's a dozen or more, make individual settlements. Some of those settlements are as much as $2 a month, and some of them are $89,000 a month in the case of AT&T. And then we get another settlement from the CMRS board.
Okay. Supervisor Stokes?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm gonna ask Mr. Bingham to come forward, Mr. President. I thought we was already on a contract with them. We've heard them say meeting after meeting about these landlines, and we've been saying we need the money. So we'll find out exactly what's going on. If the legal and others can help, that's fine, but we just need to see the money.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Porter Bingham with Malachi Financial Products. Thank you, Mr. President. Board, here to answer any questions you may have.
Are we already on the contract with you to collect these fees?
That's my understanding, yes.
How, President Graham asked the question, how these fees, where do we collect them from? I guess is the main issue. And everybody wants to know, because it's good to pass some, but never see the money. Where's the money? How do we collect it? Where will we start seeing some?
I think Supervisor Calhoun is correct, as well as Greta. The individual companies are companies that can be pursued for fees that, through our audit, if we find that they were not paid properly. However, the CRMS board, does have some responsibility for those fees, and this effort has to be coordinated with the CMRS board in order to make sure that, we are auditing vertically versus, just a horizontal look at these, at what the unpaid fees are. She is correct. We took we did a preliminary evaluation, small sampling, and compared what the county is receiving currently to what we found at the, from the regulatory side of it. And in our estimate, the county could potentially retrieve $250,000 a month. We think you may be losing as much as, $2-3 million a year.
I'm talking about, we can pass this today. When will we start seeing the money? When will it move from talk, some on paper, so we see money coming?
At the next board meeting, we've been working on this for, I guess, a month and a half currently. So at the next board meeting, our plan was to ask for some time to give you a full update on where we are in the process, how we're going about the collection process, who we're talking to, and detailing what the next steps are.
Supervisor Calhoun?
Yes, totally unaware that you all were pursuing capturing some of these funds. Now, you say that we are under contract, we want to pursue these additional funds. That's under the comprehensive financial planning, and you all have already been paid, you all already have been paid for services, so you will not be coming back requesting
additional funds from whom?
The contract speaks for itself. I think we have, and I don't have it in front of me, but there is a contingency fee for the collections that we're able to retrieve for the county. There's a sliding scale. Again, I don't have it off the top of my head, but yes, we will be further compensated for work related to monies that are collected. But there would be no compensation for work during the audit or any of the process leading up to the point in which the county actually receive funds. If you don't receive funds, no, we don't get any money for the work that we're doing on this, if that's your question.
The reason I was asking that question is because you have presented your contractual services in different phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Yes.
And I assume that the recommendations that were provided came under phase 2. And you have been paid for
The recommendations that we provided came under phase 1.
the recommendations under
Yes,
phase
ma'am.
1. And you have been provided funds for the phase 1 portion of the contractual services that you have presented to the board.
I know we have received some compensation for those services. I would just have to, go back, reconcile it with, my staff that really manages the scheduling and the billing part of that. I don't, I'm sorry.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
We're voting on, we're voting on pursuing the money to E911 funds of uncollected bills or uncollected fees. So it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Mrs. Calhoun, continue.
That's it.
All right, we'll now go to the Honorable Mr. Tony Greer, District 4.
Thank you.
Ms. Calhoun. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I know, I'm sorry. Before we go directly to Supervisor Greer, let's go to Judge Owens. I saw her come in. She had an issue on the agenda earlier this morning. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, and thank you all for taking me out of turn.
Oh, no problem.
Appreciate it. We have a request, the judges, for an increase in our law clerk's salary. Kim McSwain is here on the second row. She's been a law clerk for us for 5 years. We're trying to keep her here. She is a graduate of John Marshall School of Law, where she received her LLM in law. She also received her JD from Thurgood Marshall School of Law. All right, I know you appreciate that. And so the administrative office of the courts raised the amount that those clerks could receive on last year. We're requesting a raise to $60,750.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yeah.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
I have a question for the judge.
Yeah. Question?
Judge, I had a conversation about a week or so ago with the governor concerning a new jail. And I told him if we could look at increasing filing fees, the fees for Chancery Court, Circuit Court, all the different courts. And he said he would explore that. In terms of the fees, now I know sometimes, not a lot, y'all ask people to pay a fine. Could we explore the possibility of when y'all ask people to pay a fine, maybe we can add $1 through to that?
Well, in the Chancery Court, we do have fines, but they are very rare. They're mostly assessed against attorneys who may be held in contempt, or parties who are held in contempt. So in terms of fines, I'm not sure in the Chancery Court enough revenue would, we could raise enough revenue for that. In terms of the filing fee and some type of add-on, I am cautious about that because we already have filing fees in Chancery Court that amount to about $147 for the average case, and that for people, who are on fixed income or, minimum wage salaries, it's already pretty steep. So I just caution on, in terms of the filing fee. If it is truly a fine, I could see that, as something that would be more positive. But I just caution on the filing fee part of it, because I don't want to prohibit people from having access to the courts because they can't afford to pay the filing fee.
Now, is there any kind of indigent avenue if a person is?
Oh, yes, they can file what's called an informal pauper's oath if they're not able to pay. And it's an affidavit that they file and the clerk accepts, and they can file whatever they need to file.
Thank you so much.
May I just comment too, that the filing fee does not always come to the county. A lot of the fees are assessed by the state already.
Yeah.
So we just become the conduit, we collect it, and then we have to sell at the end of the month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll continue our agenda. Supervisor Greer.
First item I have is regarding the Henley Young Juvenile Center. This is, as you know, probably one of the most successful programs, court programs that we have. They process about 2,700 cases a year, anything regarding youth drugs, child abuse, and various other cases. But I've had the opportunity to tour this facility a couple of times, top to bottom, visit with some folks out there. One of the needs that they have there is their recreation area, their enclosed recreation area is or was at one point, a basketball court. And those kids that are being held there do not have an opportunity for recreation right now because that court is in such terrible condition that it's sinking. The subgrade under the court is not holding up with the asphalt that it has on it currently. So I am recommending to the board that we pursue getting a new concrete basketball court with proper subgrade. I have worked or have been in some conversations with Public Works Director Carl Freelix and asked him to get some estimates on this work, and he has done that. And he's whittled it down. He's talked to several contractors and whittled it down to a total estimated project cost of about $22,000. Now, they do not have money in their budget for a project like this, but I am suggesting, recommending to the board that we can get this money from the fund by, and I believe that we've already done this, discontinuing the money that we give annually to Jackson First Care, I believe is the name of the organization. We give them about $30,000 annually. I think that there are some concerns as to how they're using this money at that facility, and I believe that they may be under investigation right now. I do not think that Hinds County wants to be associated. We do not want our name associated with any organization that may have issues internally as to how they're using the money. And I would recommend to the board, and I make that in the form of a motion, that we proceed with getting a new basketball court at the Henley Center, a concrete court, and using money from the general fund that was released from this other organization to use for that project.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. Discussion? Supervisor Stokes?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, and I read the letter, and I was hoping we were going to discuss it today because of the magnitude of the suggestion that county money might be used in a facility that's abusing the vulnerable adults. However, I think probably some of the money has already been allocated this budget year, Ms. Woods. So I don't know how much is left. But I would hope that that the county administrator, someone in our staff would, because I don't want to accuse people, I know that came from one person who had problems with who used to be on the board, that something's wrong when it might not be wrong. I hope we'll wait until the Attorney General's office, or ask the Attorney General's office to give us some information as to what's taking place. That's the first thing. Secondly, I would hope that, because of the need of the children, basketball sounds such as a small issue, but when we're talking about those young people trying to burn off energy, some of them dealing with all kind of issues, mentally and physically, that basketball court really makes a big difference. But I would hope that we'll let the county administrator identify some money so that we can make it a reality. In terms of the money to this nonprofit, even probably waiting, if we don't use that money today, I hope that we'll put it in escrow and let's try to find out what's really going on at that facility, because it would give the county a black eye that we're giving money to people that's money being used improperly, people being treated that's vulnerable in a very poor manner. The letter was alarming, to say the least, and I hope we'll get some kind of. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Mrs. Davis, and then Supervisor McQuaid.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, just to share with the board, the staff has looked into the matter, has spoken with the person who brought the information to our attention. Also, we've contacted the Attorney General's office and did get confirmation that there is an investigation occurring. And we have shared that information with the board attorney, and he is also working on behalf of the board to look into that. So it's certainly the discretion of the board, as you want to move forward in supporting this group. We can certainly wait till the finalization of investigation from the Attorney General's office, and we can also, we have held their payment for their allocation this month and moving that investigation. So it will be the discretion of the board how you'd like to move forward.
Supervisor McQuaid.
Okay, you answered part of my question there. I guess now back to the motion itself. That's two separate parts then. So we can still go ahead.
I'm fine with waiting for the investigation to free up that money. I do think that we need to, the project cost that I have for this is about $22,000. And should this money free up, it would release enough money to do this project. But I'm fine amending my motion if I need to wait till after the investigation.
Right, but this is a serious, and I appreciate Supervisor for bringing this to the board's attention, because the basketball court is a major activity for the children.
Okay.
Again, my concern then is just separating the two out. Do we have the funds to move forward with the court? If we do, I'm wanting to support this.
Yes, we can use the surplus funds.
Okay, well then, I would like to amend my motion to reflect, move forward with doing this project using those funds, and hear the outcome.
Okay, we have a motion and a second before we vote. Supervisor Catherine.
Okay, my concern has been
Okay.
cleared up.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Let me question for Public Works Director Crawford. How long before this project?
Warmer months, as it's getting into the colder months, when you want to start the project, you have to stop. So I'm looking at beginning of March.
Continue, please.
The other item that I have is a discussion regarding the OC Director. I don't think that we're prepared to take any action on that today, but I have been reviewing resumes, as I know that the rest of you have as well, and have conducted an interview, and at some point, I think relatively soon, I think that I would hope that the rest of the board has narrowed down their discussions or have done some interviews with potentially OC candidates, and would like to maybe even in executive session have a discussion as to who the top candidates are and how we need to proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and I think that we should be prepared at least by the next board meeting to do that, because of the fact of the implications that we have of the type of winter that we're going to have. Supervisor McQuaid.
If we have executive session, is that something that can be brought up?
Peter, it's a personnel issue.
It can't be brought up, but we got it on the agenda. We can take it up in executive session today.
Okay. Thank you very much. Continue, please.
I have one other item kind of related to the EOC spot. Joey Perkins has been acting as the county fire administrator for the last year and a half. He's expressed an interest in staying in that position. I would encourage us as we look and talk to an EOC director that we consider allowing him to stay in that position. Give that some thought. So, no action on that, Judge.
Okay, thank you very much. Continue, please.
And the last item that I have is regarding legislative issues. We've had some discussion amongst ourselves on the board about how do we bring forward legislative issues. And I would like to recommend that we create a legislative committee. I myself would like to serve on that committee. And I would recommend that Supervisor Calhoun also be on that committee because of her relationship with members of the House. So with that, I'd like to make a motion.
Supervisor Greer, only one personal relationship with them.
Good relationship?
It's good.
Okay. Supervisor, continue, please. Continue, I can get you
But
to take
anyway, I'd
motion.
like to make a motion that we create a legislative committee so that we can bring forward legislative items that we're crafting at this point. And again, I would like to head up that effort.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion? Supervisor Stokes?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, and there'll be other items come forward, but I hope, and I see Reverend Stallworth here, that we move forward with some form of family court and some form of family court funding. The biggest problem we're having with some of these young people and the violence in these communities is because there's no family court. You identify these young people, you help them, then they go back in that environment and they hurt everything that you're trying to do. And again, I think the new jail, especially if we can increase the filing fees and all the different courts and fines, it'll be a way that we can offset it. We have to issue bonds, we can pay back the bonds, but we got to get a handle on this jail situation. And I think the governor's ear, he was listening, but again, his conversation to me was the Speaker of the House. So I think the idea of having someone on this body to hobnob with the people around the Capitol, I think it might be a step in the right direction. If it don't work this time, then next time we're gonna try something different. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Greer. I agree with this as well. My only question is how are we planning on, or the committee, reporting to the chair, or does the committee just go to each individual supervisor? Are we premature in thinking this is how this is going to work to get our priorities? Because I'm very sure that everyone has different priorities, but we do need to prioritize.
Right, that's the key. So we have to prioritize those issues that we bring forward. We can't go up there with 10 and 20 issues, but there are probably 4 or 5 key issues, just like Supervisor Stokes alluded to, the Family Drug Board, the detention center, the Parkway. There's several key items like that I think that we need to bring forward. And if we get together along with our attorneys and craft the right, frame it in such a way that we can take it up there and intelligently discuss those items that are important to us. And I think that that's the direction we need to go. And I know that we talked about having a lobbyist in the past. That's a paid position. This is not. This is simply us working together with the legislature and those people that can help make Hinds County better.
And I think that that's something that we really need to do. We've needed to do it for some time now. We just want to make sure that everyone knows we're definitely not going to get anything we never asked.
That's right.
So we
And
definitely need
now's
to
the
ask.
time to do it because there's
Okay.
recession.
All right, Supervisor Calhoun.
Yes, I would just like to recommend that any particular legislative issue that individual supervisors have, that they would email that information to Supervisor Greer and I then we will be responsible for making sure that a resolution is prepared for the board to sign off on. And once that resolution is approved by the board, then we will forward the necessary copies to our Hinds County delegation for their support. That will be our next step. It's always important to get our delegation to support us, and then from there, we will go about the business of talking with the appropriate individuals in our legislature regarding our issues.
All right, thank you very much. Supervisor Greer, continue.
That was my last item.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to the Honorable Mr. Kenneth I. Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, and Ms. Amos, Madam Amos.
Oh, I did? Okay, I'm sorry. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. President, we had an issue concerning the bridge. Ms. Amos will come forward, please. Hello, Ms. Amos.
Good morning.
Good evening.
I know you had two issues. I was looking for the other thing about the bridge also. You had one about the street.
It was about the water
Okay.
and also the streets. I live in Hinds County, off Lebanon and Pine Grove Road, on Hand Road. We went to Mr. Hand, the water department. We've been trying to get water for the last 20-some years that I have been a resident of that area. We have ran into some roadblocks with our combining neighbors who are receiving running water from the water department for a deer camp, a place for dogs and them to come hunt. They have access to running water. And also we have a lady with a home at the end of the street. I spoke with her and she said when they got running water, she just was amazed to have running water in her home. And I asked her, could the county go across her property that intersects with Lebanon and Pine Grove Road and to get water? She don't want some trees uprooted because she got sentimental values to those trees, but she have running water. And we have 2 or 3 homes over on the Hand Road. We have 2 wells, but we have a home that's, the well have went out and it takes at least $5,000 or $6,000 to build a well for that particular home that Ruth Wilson owned, that everyone know of her dedication to everyone in our community and in different committees. She owned this home, but the well went out and we can't move anyone into that home until water is established. And we want to build that 220 acres back there. We got kids want to build homes. They cannot do that because of the water situation.
Let me ask you this, Ms. The key thing that you want to tell this board is that certain parts of Hinds County currently do not have running water. You want to move away from the well water and have what you call pipe water like everybody else.
We don't want to necessarily move from the well water. Sir, my son and my kids want to build back there. And also we have a home that's already built that don't have water. We recently had to get.
Don't have water.
Don't have.
Explain to people, is there no water at all? Or?
No water at all is at this particular home that had a well, but the well went out. This is where Ruth Wilson used to stay. It's a nice 4-bedroom home that somebody can stay in, but we need running water. We just recently established a well, but we want water access for our kids and other people to build and to continue to our property growth.
Let me ask Mr. Friedrichs, what do we need to do to establish water in parts of the county with no water?
Basically, that's something that Hinds County Public Works does not were associations or private, but I can touch base with them to see what we can do in that particular area.
Okay, we have to go through these water associations. And, okay,
And also like the road, they was widening out Prentice Crump and Lebanon. Prentice Crump is a road that's very needed for ambulance and ambulances and school buses to travel. They had to stop the widening of that particular road because the landowners wouldn't give an easement. They did parts of it, but we need the county to come back. I spoke to the owners, Mrs. Atwell, who owned the property. Her brother died that was real prejudiced and didn't want to give us the access to things. She will cooperate with the county to follow through on widening out Lebanon and Pine Grove Road. We have garbage trucks, big trucks, traveling this particular road, Lebanon, and if we can get them to widen it out and bring the water all the way through. We do have part way on Lebanon running water access. They had to stop it because of these two landowners that do have running water won't let us receive it. So we asking that the county come in and help with the water association to make this gift come true to us.
let me do this. Could I get you, Mr. Freeland, with Ms. Amos and legal? Could we get some letters to these water associations? It makes no sense that in 2013 they said water on the moon and Mars, but Hinds kind of don't have any water. That makes no sense.
Because I could have used that little money I had to get a well to have water. I have a picture of my home, and we used the property. I got pictures to show gardening. We're not just sitting back there doing nothing. We're putting the property to good use. And we just want to be able to, my son to build a home. My cousins want to move back. We just want to keep this property progressing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Reverend.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Continue, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, I'm asking you to come forward and help guide us with the CMMC hospital contract. Thank you, Peter.
Yes, sir.
And we don't have anything formal. We would just say hearsay, and I hate to use that word to Lord, but it's our understanding that a sale is taking place, about to take place. The contract, because it's still owned by the county, we just leased it. And I don't know, normally there's a reverter clause in these leases. I don't know if it's in this one or not. And we don't know exactly what's taking place with this lease. And I know you haven't had enough time to thoroughly look at this contract, but just kind of bring us up to speed about the contract and what our options are.
Yes, sir, Supervisor Stokes. Good morning. Peter Tableson, Board Attorney. The short answer is, regardless of what private parties are doing to transfer their interest, any transfer of the interest will have to come back before this board. You're going to have final say-so on this matter. There have been a number of contracts, leases, and amendments entered between 1990, that's when the hospital was first leased to a private corporation, which predates everyone on the board. There have been a number of amendments since then with respect to the premises, the lease, the acreage around there, et cetera, et cetera. But the upshot of all that is, regardless of what private transfer that we're hearing is occurring, ultimately this board is going to have final say. We're in the process of trying to sort out these various leases and amendments, and we will advise the board. Ms. Prince has already created a timeline. Now we need to go back and advise of the material provisions of each of these matters. And one concern I'm sure the board has, the original document was a no-rent lease, but it said that the hospital would take care of indigent patients for the county. And I know that this board wants to make sure that the hospitals are being taken care of indigent patients, regardless of what legal entity is in business with the county.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Peter, let me ask Peter one other question about that, because about 4 or 5 years ago, Ms. Calhoun and I went and talked with people from CMMC. Could you also check and make sure about the clauses relate to them looking at individuals, prisoners, as it relates to accepting prisoners from the county?
Yes, sir, President Graham. You know, it's interesting as we've begun looking through this, that was one of the first questions I had. If the entity, whichever, whether it's HMA or whomever, is operating that hospital, then why are we paying additional money to take care of prisoners? Because many of the prisoners are indeed indigent. I don't know why they have a problem with that. Poor, let's just get it.
Yeah.
We got a lot of poor prisoners, and it would seem like the hospital should also be taking care of them. So yes, we will. Again, I think the board needs to know not just the timeline, which I think is real helpful, but what are the material clauses in each of those various agreements. And Mr. President, members of the board, I suspect that if there is indeed a transfer occurring, that somebody's going to come back before this board because we have to bless it for them to have it, and you will ultimately have final say.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Supervisor Stokes,
Mr.
continue.
President, I'm going to hold item 3, but I want to introduce two people to this body. And if they'll please stand, they might want to come to the microphone. Miss Shirley Lee, and bring, and we'll let them introduce themselves. They're the new owners of what we used to call the Ramada Inn, across from the Coliseum. I know the name has changed several times, and I wanted them to come before this body. They wanted to know people in government and everything. They bought. We'll let them introduce themselves and tell what they are, the name of the hotel and everything.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I'm Jenny, the new owner of the Regency Hotel and Conference Center. So welcome everybody to visit our hotel.
Okay.
And the other Miss Shirley Lee, they came from California.
Yes.
And they purchased the hotel. And, you know, in a time when you find an abandoned hotel, those kind of things, somebody investing in our economy, we want to thank them. I asked them to come to me so we can meet them and introduce them to everyone. But they're the new owners of Regency Hotel. A lot of people still remember as the old Ramada Inn at the Coliseum.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you and welcome. Okay.
Mr. President, the next item, Mr. President, is a resolution, hopefully pass it out, for Christmas.
Will we cancel it?
No, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure. All right.
No service, brother. If we do that, I don't know what the children would do.
Okay.
Let me pass that this way now. Could you give one to, Mr. Sanders, you take this one. Read it in the record for us, please. Mr. President, we want to make sure we wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Kwanzaa and Happy New Year for the Board of Supervisors, and, you know, make sure everyone have a safe time. This time next week, we'll be full of gear and try to make sure everyone have a Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Hinds County, Mississippi, encouraging the citizens of Hinds County to have a safe, happy, and Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and a Happy New Year. Whereas Hinds County, the world paused to celebrate the birth of Jesus on December 25th of each year, the celebration of Kwanzaa beginning on December 26th of each year, and New Year on the first day of the new year. And whereas the annual Christmas celebration is marked by church services, family gatherings, and gift giving. And whereas Kwanzaa is an Afrocentric celebration focusing on several principles, which when followed seek to enhance the life and community of everyone involved. And whereas Hinds County wishes to promote public safety and resolve our desire and hope for a prosperous, happy new year for all. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Hinds County, Mississippi, hereby encourages the citizens of Hinds County to have a safe, happy, and Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and a Happy New Year. Be it resolved this 16th day of December by the Hinds County Board of Supervisors.
So moved, Mr. President.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the next pass that I have is dealing with an issue. I was in Seattle a few weeks ago, and was dealing with the issue of the president of the board. And if you look at the top, the organizational meeting, Mr. President, this was what was taught to us in our training. And if you look at the fourth sentence, when it says select the president, in parentheses, it has for the 4-year term. And I'm saying that because I understand the other counties might substitute and move president. It's the discretion of the president whether he resign or not. But when you vote on the president of the board, it's for a 4-year term. And that's what I want to make sure we take. Now, officially again, this came from our training when we became a member of the Board of Supervisors. This is official language, and I bring it today because it was my understanding that the first meeting in January, we're going to try to select another president. What we have to do, must do, is follow state law. This is state law, and we can get the section and everything else, but when you vote on the president of the board, it's for 4 years. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ms. Calhoun.
Yes, out of consideration for the newly elected supervisors, I don't think we could bind this board to any policies that were established prior to their election. And as far as this board now, we are comprised of, again, newly elected officials that can participate in the process of electing a president. As a matter of fact, the purchasing laws do not allow this particular board to be bound to any contractual agreements made by a private board. And I believe that this board can move forward in 2014 or even today in electing a new president.
Supervisor Stokes.
Mr. President, it's a big difference between a policy and a law. This is state law, not a state policy. This is the law that we must follow. And the law is not green or gray. The law is absolute. And it's absolutely right. It's for 4 years. Now, you can change members along the way, you can pass and everything else. But the law is that the president is there for 4 years. Now, keeping in mind, he can resign on his own if he wants to resign. But he's there for 4 years, and I'm almost certain that any court gonna uphold that. Whether you bring in new members or old members or anything else, the law is clear on that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Supervisor Calhoun and Supervisor McQuaid.
I'll yield to Supervisor McQuaid.
Supervisor.
I want to yield to our legal counsel for any advice or recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor McWhorter. It was voted upon in I want to say it was the second November meeting, that the legal department would provide a memo by the end of December so they could be duly considered at the January 6th meeting. We're on track. We have researched this issue, and we will provide that memo by the end of this month so the supervisors can act appropriately and accordingly at the first meeting. I didn't know that we needed to have it done before then. I thought that was the time frame. That was a 4-0 vote, and I thought that was the time frame we were on.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Peter. Supervisor Stokes, continue, please.
Mr. President, I think that wraps it up for me. We're gonna hold item number 3. And the item, Mr. President, I want to meet with the airport authority before we vote on encourage Southwest Airlines to stay in Jackson. Again, Mr. President, I really tell them fly, but it's important that capital city for the state of Mississippi have good quality, low fare air carriers like Southwest. And it's gonna hurt business, it's gonna hurt everything when if Southwest leave this community. So I'm hoping to have the resolution on the next meeting, and we'll have a vote then. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Continuing with our printed agenda, we'll now go to the County Administrator, Mrs. Carmen Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item on the agenda relates to bodies, there's one unclaimed body for your consideration.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and properly second. I will
President.
question from Supervisor Stokes.
Ms. Davis, in terms of these unclaimed bodies, I understand and Mr. Ray Grant might can help us. They only build what kind of box are they putting in? That's what I need to make sure. Mr. Brown, what kind of box are they putting these bodies in?
Good morning again.
Morning.
During my research for land that was being used for the public graves a couple of years ago, I found out that the unclaimed bodies would be buried in just a plain box, just a shipping box, cardboard box. And that was disturbing to me, but that's the answer to your question.
But did you not feel that some of the inmates feel better? I'm saying, I know they're dead. I understand they may not have anyone to claim, but there's such thing as dignity.
I thought they were building, at one time, I inquired to the sheriff, well, it was under the previous chair, they were building a box. Verify what's happening now.
In my opinion, I feel like that for some of the craftsmanship that's in the detention center, work center, that if we could get the lumber or donated lumber, that something could be built a little bit better than what I call a cardboard box, because of the dignity of that human body. And so I just share that with you, but as Ms. Carr says, it's just a box.
Because we work very closely with the coroner on these events. A lot of our clients that we deal with, they don't have any money. Our family members just refuse to claim. And it's a sad occasion when you have to put somebody in the ground. And my heart just goes out to the families too. But this is a person that you just put in a box.
You can do a dog, right?
No, sir. I mean, it's sad.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
So, Mr. President, Ms. Davis and Mr. Brown, y'all look at maybe trying to create a little better system, working with the sheriff, inmates, and others, to bring some dignity.
And I'd like to work along with that too.
Yes,
There's a lot of things that we deal with through Chancery Court, through the conservatorship. We have no choice but to bear them that way as well.
I believe it's against state law just to do that. You have to have an outside container in order to protect the environment as well.
All right. We have, thank you, Mr. President. Peter, I hope you have a long list, because your list is getting longer, but we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Dan Gibson, our risk management consultant, with 3 items for consideration.
Mr. Gibson, good morning.
Mr. President, members of the board, and greetings of the season to you. Every year, I just wish we could celebrate, and we should celebrate Christmas in our hearts every day, because truly it is a day of celebration. Our agenda this morning has 3 items. The first item is approval to renew Hinds County's workers' compensation insurance policy.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
And who is that gonna be with, Mr. Gibson?
Supervisor Stokes, it is with the county pool, the Mississippi Public Entity Workers' Comp Trust, that 81 counties in Mississippi participating.
Do we have any local people involved?
We do. This is actually sponsored by the Mississippi Association of Supervisors, and the program is actually overseen by a board that includes county supervisors.
Okay.
And it is a not-for-profit association which allows them to basically provide an excellent value at a very competitive price. And we have not been able to find a company interested in quoting on this in the past 3 years.
Okay. Supervisor Calhoun?
And the program does not preclude current insurance agents or participants.
It does not. This company, this association program is actually a direct placement, and it is not through an agent, so no separate motion will be required regarding agent this morning.
Okay. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
All right, Mr. President, the second, and members of the board, the second item we have for you is approval to renew insurance coverage for the Henley Young Juvenile Justice Center.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
In the local participation.
Yes, this policy has been well serviced by a local agent for many years, and that is Ms. Galia Porter. Before Ms. Porter, it was her husband, Richard Porter, and I believe their daughter is here as well. And I enjoy working with the Porter Agency.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
You need a motion to retain.
So moved.
Right.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Thank you. The third item I have for you is approval to settle a claim on hail damage roofs with FM Global.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
All right. The settlement, just by way of information, does not include any action on the communications towers. We are still negotiating that amount with the company. However, it does include appearance allowances for damage to the copper roofing at the Raymond Courthouse and at the Jackson Courthouse. And it also involves pipe insulation repairs at this building, the Chancery Building. It involves flashing repairs and other repairs at the Juvenile Detention Center. And it also involves a new roof at the Human Services Building and at the Economic Development Building. I want to just take 1 minute, just a personal privilege, to thank Mr. Harrington for the work that he has provided and helped. We actually at first were told by our carrier that we did not have hail damage. And they persisted in that for a very long period of time. But the county, by getting outside resources in, having consultants and experts look at these roofs, we were able to then bring them back to the table. And this is a very good thing for the county, and I appreciate your help, Mr. Harrington.
Okay. It's been moved. Excuse me. What's the pleasure of the board?
I think you just...
Okay. I'm sorry. Mr. McQuaker?
I got a question. The proceeds, does it go back to the general fund or to the maintenance? And then we decide on what items, how the process works?
Right, it goes to the particular project we're making, the funding for the repair work to be done.
It does. And now, because it is an appearance settlement, FM Global is not requiring that they be involved in every aspect of that, because it's really an appearance settlement. It's not for actual work that will be done. So that will be funds that you can apply to projects of your choice. There are some repair items needed, I understand, at the Jackson Courthouse across the street, but it will leave ample funds for other projects.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson.
Thank you.
Ms. Davis, before we go ahead, I'd like to recognize Socrates Garrett, who's in attendance here. He's the District 1 representative to the levy board. I did not get an opportunity to put him on the agenda for this particular agenda, but I'm going to ask that he come back, or excuse me, if it's okay for him to discuss, since we do not have to take a vote on this, to just go ahead and discuss and tell us exactly what's happening as it relates to the levy board. And we'll come right back to you, Ms. Davis. The One Lake. Yeah, and the One Lake project. I feel like it was important that we get an opportunity to talk with him so he'll know exactly what we're doing, what he's doing.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here again before the board. The Hinds County Levy Board met on last Monday. We are in the process. We have finalized the input period for people to talk about and give their comments about the One Lake plan. So that was finalized at the end of November. We're now in December, and we're working with the Corps of Engineers. They've been at all of our meetings. We've had meetings with all our downstream partners, talking about the impact and the effect that the One Lake plant will have on their local areas. And we're now meeting with the Corps. By the end of December, we hope to come to a consensus on the One Lake plan. In the environmental impact study that we're doing, we had to show the Corps all available options. And so we go through this process, and then by the end of this month, everybody will be in total agreement on the One Lake plan. So we'll get that done. The levy board also voted to go to Washington the first of the year. As you know, the $133 million that was authorized in the word bill, it's still there. But we have to move it from authorization to appropriation. And so that those funds actually become secure for the One Lake plan. So everything's going fine. We still have Dallas Quinn and the Pearl River Foundation working as consultants and working with the Corps of Engineers. And we see that this project should move forward the first of the year. And hopefully in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll see some activity there in terms of some dirt being moved. That is the plan that we'll have. Naturally, we'll run into funding issues as we go along. And that's why it's important that we go to Washington now and meet with our delegation there to talk about these dollars that are contained in the word bill. And that's pretty much where we are.
Okay, let me just ask one quick question, then we go to Supervisor Stokes. Does the water bill have to be reauthorized?
No, the funds are there. It was reauthorized in the water bill this year. However, we have to, the next step is to get that appropriated to this specific project. And that's what we're trying to make sure that happens now.
Okay, Supervisor Stokes and Supervisor Greer.
Thank you. You said that construction might start within 12 to 18 months. How long do they foresee a completed project?
It depends. When you go into construction, as you're very familiar with, there are a lot of unknown things that will occur in the movement of dirt and weather and all the impact associated with that. Land mass, land availability, acquiring land that we currently don't own, all of those things are going to take time. So we would think that, and we discussed it in the chamber, that somewhere in the next 3 to 5 years, we ought to have a completed project.
Okay.
That's the goal.
That's good, just a ballpark. Now, it's gonna begin where and end where?
It starts at Lakeland Drive, just right south of Lakeland Drive, and moves down to Highway 220. That's the footprint of the One Lake plan. I think there's some 1,500 acres of shorefront property that will be developed there. So that is the footprint for this particular project. And we have to remember that the primary reason for the One Lake plan is to provide flood protection. And so we've completed all the hydraulics and all of that, and so it guarantees flood protection along that corridor. So, but that is your current footprint.
Would it still encompass a lake behind the City Auditorium around Town Creek? That's still a part of it?
It's strategically planned to do a Town Creek development that will enhance the quality of life down behind the convention center and all in through that corridor on Town Creek. It's not a specific component of the One Lake plan, but every mayor there are 4 mayors on this board, and each one of them have these tributaries and projects that they want done as a part of this project. So we don't specifically talk about it in terms of what the budget is for it, et cetera, but we have all of the drawings, all of the renderings that would show what the enhancement to Town Creek should look like. And it is also as a part of flood protection as well. So we count on having that done.
Thank you so much. Thank you, President.
Supervisor Greer.
There's been a presentation at our last meeting about one of my friends. Go in there, same area. Is it your opinion that it's not going to have any effect on what you guys are doing?
Yeah, that was discussed briefly, and we are preparing to have a meeting with them to see exactly what their concerns are, et cetera. We anticipate that we'll have some issues like that will have to be resolved, but there was no resolution of that at our last meeting.
Okay. All right. Mr. Garrett, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we'll have you coming back from time to time to give us an update on this very important issue.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go back to the printed agenda. Mrs. Davis.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have personnel, Mrs. Parker. However, there are no items for your consideration.
Okay.
Which leads us to Mr. Ray Ingram, Director of Central Repair, with items for your consideration.
Good morning.
Good morning, President, other board members. I have two things to bring before y'all. One is authorization to sell vehicles on gov deals and advertises at Jackson Advocate.
Okay. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Second item is authorization of deadline and sale of remaining parts for scrap. So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Is that it? Thank you very much. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Next, Mr. Clarence Williams, Director, Human Capital Development, items for your consideration.
Mr. Williams, good morning.
Good morning, President, board members. I have one item for your consideration. I'm requesting a board order authorizing the approval of an interlocal agreement between Hinds County Board of Supervisors and the Hinds County School District. The agreement will award $1,500 to the Byron Middle School for the implementation of a school-wide recycling program. The funds will come from a 2012 Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality grant for unauthorized dump site cleanup and public education programs for MDEQ project number SWAC 350 modification.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay, thank you. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. Next, from the Courtesy Department, we have Ms. Shantae Maroon, one item for your consideration.
Good morning.
Good morning, President and rest of the board members. I'm here as to authorization for the board order to authorize the publishing and assurance of a request for proposal for integrated mosquito management program and to request the notice of the request for the proposal be published in the Jackson Advocate.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, your order
Is
says,
it as the advocate and the clearing lender? Is it both papers?
Yes.
No.
No,
Does not.
we have legal publications in the Jackson Advocate. There's no authority to publish in both papers.
Okay. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Okay, next we have Ms. Lily Woods, with items for your consideration.
Good morning, President Graham and members of the board. First, we have our inventory report by Mr. James Ingram.
Good morning, Mr. President and board members. I bring to the board two requests for approval. The first one requests to transfer county assets within Hinds County.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Second request is to sell county asset in a public auction over the internet.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
I hate to interrupt you. What assets are we transferring and what are we selling?
Yeah.
It's in your handbook.
It's in the handbook. It's a,
You got a handbook.
I just want to make sure it's specific in the minutes somewhere and not just a broad statement about selling assets.
It's a detailed list in all the departments that we can transfer.
Can we reference then in the motion, can we reference the report so we make sure that's included and we have some specificity?
Because if somebody, the public was to come behind us, they don't know this report, I didn't know, I'm asking.
Right.
We reference this as a document affixed to an incorporated hearing.
Okay, all right. Let's make sure we're saying it openly for the public so they know as well.
Okay. I got it. Okay, let's move forward, okay? All in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Okay,
Okay.
continue, please.
One other item, board members, for your review is the approval of the amendments. These amendments are included in your budget packages and are attached in the board minutes. These amendments are for December 16, 2013. These amendments represent departmental requests to transfer funds based on the explanations provided with each amendment in compliance with GASB 34. These amendments also reflect action taken by the board related to the grand jury findings totaling $315,314.41. These including setting up the appropriate budget for the jail administrator and 2 monitors for the remaining 9 months of this fiscal year. Paying for lighting for Pod A, B, and C, $68,000. A monitoring team at a level of $50,000. The detention center wall at $12,213, and detention center painting for $5,500.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and properly second. Supervisor Stokes?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Wood,
Yes, sir.
we received a memo, concerning this lock key in the jail in the Pod C. My first concern is that the gentleman who's at the jail, electrical gentleman.
Robbie Nelson.
Nelson.
He's saying that this is not gonna work. Now, we accepting the key from the contractors, like everything is okay. Then down the road, from what Nelson is saying, you're gonna have the same problems. Now, why can't the contractors fix this problem? I read somewhere it says it's not part of their contract. You know, evidently somebody who wrote the contract did a bad job on the contract language. But we can't accept a jail that we know is not in good condition, and then a little while down the line, they're gonna come back with the same thing, we got these problems, and let me giving money away. Now, what's the win-win in this? I don't know if legal need to get involved, or somebody, but number one, we shouldn't accept no key that we know the jail is not fixed. Bring that, what's his name, Roberts, or whatever his name?
Robbie Nelson.
Robbie Nelson.
Bring him to his body and let him talk to all the board of supervisors and let him talk to everybody, because I know he showed me and he said, this is not right, it's not gonna work. And now, you know, one while, you know, cause nobody really give us anything in writing, they were saying that the contractor said if y'all do anything to it, then you won't have warranty. You know, we haven't anything in writing on none of this. But we started saying we're paying out money for a dud. So
Okay.
what's the solution?
Okay, Ms. Davis, do you want to address this issue?
Yes, just for general information, it is my understanding that the work was done as specified per the contract. And as you recall, the contract only repaired the items that was destroyed during the disturbance.
Hold, let me ask this. Work was done as specified by contract.
Right, and
Who specified? Because evidently if somebody didn't specify it properly, somebody did something wrong. Somebody should have specified all this other stuff. You can't sit here and keep paying money and we still getting something that's not gonna be completely repaired. Who specified it?
well, what I'm saying is the doors and other items that was destroyed was restored back to its original function. Now, as you recall, Supervisor Stokes, the other doors and other parts will retrofit. So if the board so chooses, the county chooses, we can retrofit those doors so that it can have some added security to the facility. However, the contract specified that the work that was destroyed at the time was restored at its original state.
Ms. Davis, I understand fully what you're saying, But now, listen how this sounds to the public. When you spending millions of dollars, we're gonna give you a jail, and once you take the key, that's not properly repaired. It's the same jail that they walking in and out of, but this is what people specified supposed to happen. Now, somewhere down the line, we need to hold somebody responsible. If it was not fixed properly, and this man is on record saying that you're gonna have the same problems, we shouldn't have to get this key, then hire these people to do the same thing doing in the other part. That don't make sense. It's a waste of taxpayer money, number one, and it seems like somebody dropping the ball. Now, if we get a memo, and luckily I read all my memos, that's saying, we finna give y'all this key, I don't know if we accept it yet, cause that's supposed to be in, what, in November or something? But we finna give y'all this key, we finna walk away. But we getting an unfinished product. So my question, I guess, Mr. President, is we need to bring Robbie, what his name, in here. We need to bring our lawyers in here, and we need to bring, this company that did the work. Because you can't sit up here and give us a key for a project that's not complete, that once we put inmates in, they're gonna be walking in and out again, somebody get hurt, and we're gonna get sued. We need to bring everybody in here to talk to us, and let our lawyers talk to everybody. I know the lawyers weren't on the job then, but whoever wrote those specifications evidently didn't do their job right. And I don't know who it is, I don't want to put the finger in anybody, but we don't need to accept this. And if it's not done properly, and then this man stood up and told me that you still got the same problems. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Stokes, your issues are taken into consideration, and I think probably at the very next work session, we need to go from civil disturbance to where we are now. And that way we'll know what's happened in each process. I see Mr. Jenkins is here, and he can probably shed some light on some of these issues that we have, and where we'll know exactly where we are. And I'll plan it for the next work session, or that we can go ahead and make sure that we talk about this and clear up all these particular issues and make sure that the attorneys are involved in every step of the way, so we'll know exactly where we are. There are a lot of different issues as it relates, and Robbie Nelson did say that we're still gonna have problems, but we wanna make sure that we can verify and substantiate exactly what he was talking about. Okay? All those in favor of? Yes. Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Okay, that concludes the agenda items under county administrator. There is 2 minute assertions, however, no board action is required.
Okay, thank you very much. Continuing the agenda, we'll now go to the office of the board attorney. Presenting this morning, Ms. Banks. Good morning.
Good morning. Kimberly Banks, legal counsel, board counsel special. We have an issue on the contract this morning for renewal for Jeffrey S. Vernon. He is the drug testing person at the drug court under Judge Kidd. We've been assured from Judge Kidd that this $1,000 a month he's requesting is not coming out of the county's extra budget. It is coming out of the drug testing fees and fines from drug court. This contract has been approved since 2007, and we're requesting ratification of this contract again.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Ms. Banks, you said ratification.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The next matter are unpaid invoices for the Page, Kruger, and Howland law firm. This board hired Page, Kruger, and Howland to defend an overtime lawsuit that was filed against the sheriff's department. The board hired Page, Kruger, and Howland in approximately October of 2012. They submitted one invoice for payment. Then other invoices were submitted throughout 2013. And all those were submitted before your previous board counsel left. They have been resubmitted since you have retained myself. I've looked at the invoices. The rate that was charged is $200 an hour. That was the rate that the board contracted with this firm for. The work that was done by the firm, I've looked at the federal docket. It appears that all the work that was done was reasonable and necessary and appropriate. I'd like to recommend paying all of those outstanding invoices. They total $23,700 and some change.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Is it coming out your budget, Peter?
There'll be a budget line that it comes out of. And that really ties into C as well, which is, and I provided a memo to the board on Friday. I don't presume that the board has had enough time to read that memo. But when you look at it, you'll see an attachment of a chart of various special legal counsel you have hired over the years, the rate you're paying them, and the projects they're working on. Supervisor report, you've been talking about contracts. I gave you a list of them on Friday so you can review them, at least as they pertain to legal matters. The board has hired about a dozen different special legal counsel over the years that are still actively engaged in matters. I would encourage the board to take a good look at which of those legal counsel need to remain in special counsel and which of those that the Simon & Tableson firm can handle. For example, the matter that you just paid, the overtime matter, I've litigated those matters. In fact, I've litigated them successfully against the very attorneys who are suing the sheriff's office. Likewise, we need to know how much money are they talking about. Is it, is it $1 million case or $100,000 case? If it's a $100,000 case, we don't need to spend $50,000 in legal fees to settle a $100,000 case. So I would encourage the board to take that memo from Friday as well as the chart. Take some time over the next couple of weeks before our next work session or the January meeting, and we stand ready to answer any questions about the various special legal counsel. That leads into item C. I would recommend as your board counsel that you do retain Ms. Cherie Prince as one of your special legal counsel. First and foremost, I'd like the public to know why. First and foremost, we've identified some areas that Ms. Prince will have that are not duplicative of anyone else. She has been, she's gone above and beyond during this transition to make sure that we're fully informed. And she, of all people, only has a rate of $95 an hour. When we're paying a lot of other special legal counsel $200 an hour, the county's getting a heck of a bargain with Ms. Prince for $95. Also, there's money budgeted already for her, and she will stay within that budget during this year.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed to? Ms. Calhoun?
I had really wanted us to discuss this matter in executive session. If we
Okay.
could.
We can.
Okay.
Okay.
Instead of taking a vote at this time, we come back out and take a vote.
We've already started the vote.
I personally wanted to discuss it as well.
Okay.
I'm against it, but I did want to discuss it further.
Okay.
The vote has been canceled.
Well, we'll, if it's, if you don't have any problem just discussing it? Okay. We'll hold the vote for the remainder of the vote and discuss it in the executive session. All right, continue.
Are you all withdrawing your motions?
Yep.
You gotta come back.
That's
We
right.
got to withdraw the motion.
I'm asking, are you withdrawing it? Or
We're keeping the motion, we're just holding the vote.
I don't think you can do it that way. Mr. Attorney.
You need to either proceed with the vote or withdraw the motion in second.
Well, I want to do both. So,
You can make your motion second.
what we'll do is, we'll withdraw the motion, I'll withdraw my second, and if you just withdraw your motion, then we'll just, since we want to go ahead and do it in executive session.
Well, I'm ready to vote myself, Mr. President, but
I am too.
understand if there's unreadiness for members of this body.
Okay.
But, again, legal gave us a scenario on how to save money. But this is what I'm saying, Mr. President. All these issues we have, we got contracts that we're not getting information on. We got to have someone other than Peter them, that's what he's saying, y'all working us like the Hebrew slaves, and we ain't really getting paid, and somebody else got to come through and help. Because even if you look at item number B, at first I thought he was saying that Page, Kruger, and Holland had been paid. This issue is still ongoing. That's what I just heard you say. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It's still ongoing,
That's
Mr. President.
correct.
So they got to have some help somewhere. And then they're not getting departments and everybody turning things into legal. They legal look at it before they bring it to this body. And that's what happened, I think, with today with the item from the election commissioner. They haven't turned it into legal police to even look at. And then, here we gonna get sued. You know, people just waiting to sue us on this stuff, but I don't mind withdrawing my motion and handing it back and then voting into it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Calhoun, and then we'll move on.
Yes, what I was going to say, that some of these attorney law firms were handling special cases for us, and I would like for those special cases to be identified as to what they were handling. I do recognize that some law firms do not have the expertise to handle every scenario that's presented, and the specialty is required. But generally, when we hire those types of law firms, we do it on a case-by-case basis. But if I can have the information on what specific cases they were handling.
If you look at the attachment from Friday, this board is not necessarily hired on a case-by-case basis. Some of it has just been projects. In fact, we've learned over the weekend of yet another contract that's open-ended with a particular lawyer with respect to bonds. The chart that we passed out Friday attached to the memo I wrote to the board attempts to identify the lawyers and the types of matters that they're handling and the rate in which they're getting paid. And there's about a dozen of them. And I think from there, if we need to find specific case names, we can, but I think the identification of the matter is what the board needs to know.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. Perhaps I used the wrong terminology, case by case or project by project, whichever.
Yes, ma'am.
Has always hired inevitable, whether it be project or case.
Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Stokes.
Just to close, I was laughing with Supervisor Greer. Whatever you get a memo on Friday, in most cases, to get it unseated. So Thursday's better for us, because I haven't seen that memo yet, but I'll make sure that we get it in everything.
All right, and let me see this. The memo, regardless of whether it's Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, it's a memo that this body needs to deliberate on over a week or two. Anyway, again, there are a number of different counts on a number of different projects, as Ms. Calhoun just said. And it's gonna require some deliberation by this board. The idea was just to put it out there so you can start thinking about it.
Okay, continue, please.
Moving on with D, board council is recommending an extension of real estate purchase agreement with the Western project. The current real estate purchase agreement for the Western project to purchase the Mississippi Valley Title Building property expires at the end of December of this year. The representatives of the project have asked for a 3-month extension until the end of March to continue to have their option to purchase that property for $2,300,000. On December 6th, the state of Mississippi sold bonds which would indeed back this project. So it's not that there's been any delay on behalf of the individuals associated with the project, but just there was a delay to see whether the state would indeed sell bonds to back this. It's my recommendation as your board of counsel that you extend this for 3 months. There's no one else who's expressed an interest in purchasing that property. Certainly the price of that purchase is a good price, and it does not seem that the board would be at any risk to extend that option for 3 months.
So it's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and properly second. Supervisor Stokes.
You cut me off at the list, because I was gonna say, could we raise the price? He said the price is a good price. Let me say this, Mr. President. I've always somewhat opposed the Western for different reasons. But when you look at the Iron Horse Grill and the Iron Horse Restaurant and see some progress. And I just want to take a second to thank people like Mr. Jenkins, even though officially I might can't support it, but we got to build. We got to build. You leave Seattle, they building everywhere. They building all over this country. Think about riding the train, you stop in a whole lot of different cities. And we just not building enough. Now, some small as Iron Horse, there's a step. But when you start doing major hotels like Western, and eventually something's gonna happen with the convention center hotel, then you're gonna start seeing what other cities are doing. Then we can start dealing with trying to bring some tourism in here, bring somebody here to help with paying some of these bills. You won't have the water pipes bursting all over the city and those kind of things. So I just want to thank the young men and everyone associated with the project for Einhorn Green. You know, nobody really said that much about it, and, you know, we ride by and we see it, it start raining, well, they open on time and everything else. And if that's an indication of their commitment, then I think that you're gonna see, with this hotel, you're gonna see something special. And not to leave out the construction that's taking place at Eastover. You know, they're not saying a lot about it, but there's some construction beginning to take place. So again, Mr. Jenkins, good job, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Supervisor Stokes. The Westin Hotel in downtown Jackson is a game changer. Peter, I think we have to carry the vote. All those in favor of? Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes. Peter, continue.
Can we go back a minute? Who made a motion on that?
Supervisor Greer, second by Supervisor Porter.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm getting better, Grant.
All right, go ahead.
The second matter is a resolution of the Board of Supervisors, and is publishing a notice in the paper, resolution of intent. Part of the financing for the Westin project involves $20 million in bonds. The county would have to back that $20 million, but they're really state bonds. And in fact, the Westin project is proposing that they would make the repayments directly to the state. But what they're asking for today is the ability to publish in the paper and hold a public hearing. This does not lock this board into supporting the Westin project. This today does not lock the board into backing any loan. It's merely publishing to the public so that a hearing can be set and this matter can be further addressed. And I would again recommend as your counsel that you move forward and publish that resolution of intent.
So moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. Ms. Calhoun.
Yes, if I remember correctly, and maybe I have the Western mixed up with another group, but I thought your request had been reduced from 20 to 13. Am I getting you all mixed up with another group?
This never happened, never come before the board.
So it's another group that I'm thinking of. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor of? Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes. Continue, please.
I believe that's all we have from the Board Attorney's Office, other than we do have some discussion of the monitoring team, but we'll take that up in executive session as well.
Mr. President, can I thank Peter again? It makes the job a little easier with the legal team when they researched this, and even though they came and told us that they would pay it back directly to the state, those kind, it make it easy when you can give us that information without us having to read these big things and it's in the middle of it, we can't find it. So, good job. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Peter. We'll now go to Mr. Carl Fredericks, the Public Works Director. Mr. Fredericks, good morning. Morning, yeah.
Good morning, Mr. President, other board members.
Good morning.
First item I have is approval to attend the Emergency Preparedness Conference in South Haven, Mississippi on Monday to Friday by way of county vehicle.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Next item is request approval for the Public Works Department to allocate a dump truck and a truck with mechanical arm, along with approving overtime pay for 2 employees for the neighborhood cleanup on January 20th, 2014 in Claiborne Park and along Capitol Street.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll continue with the Honorable Miss Eddie Jean Carr, Chancery Clerk.
Good morning again, Mr. President, members of the board. We have no 16th section leases this morning. We have orders canceling tax sale, authorizing refunds, reassessment changes to the assessment roll, and surrender of tags for November 2013 for your approval.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We request approval of an order approving the additions and deletions of the supplemental roll for homestead exemptions for the year 2013.
Pleasure of the board. Been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you very much, and we request approval of a resolution finally approving the tax rolls.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
We have minute insertions as listed on your agenda. No action is required on your part.
Thank you very much. We now need a motion to consider
Mr.
going.
Graham, Mr. Suggs, were you in the building or were you out on the first day?
I have an hour on the second.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay.
Motion to consider going
So
to.
moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. We now need a motion to
So
go.
moved.
It's been moved for the purpose of.
We have 3 matters listed this morning. The first will be with respect to the Byron Clinton corridor acquisition of land. That falls within the exemption under 25-41-7-4 with respect to transaction of business with respect to sale of leasing land, subsection G. The second matter has to do with a personnel matter that Ms. Calhoun just addressed. And I want to say, Supervisor McCord, you had a personnel matter from earlier this morning as well that you wanted to take up. That comes under section 25-41-7-4, subsections A, with respect to personnel matters. And then we also want to discuss, there's a discussion of the budget. And I want to make it clear before we go into executive session. We cannot have a general discussion of the budget in executive session. That has to be discussed in open session. We can have a limited discussion of the budget as it pertains to the impact of ongoing litigation with respect to the jail and the demands of the grand jury report and the fact that we have potential liability claims which exceed our insurance. But I want to make it clear to the public that we can't have a general discussion on the budget. We have to keep that very narrow in scope.
Right.
So to the extent we're doing that, it would fall under strategy sessions involving litigation, which is 25-41-7-4B.
Okay. And that's what it's going to be regarding, Peter. We now need a second. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. We're now going to executive session at 11:36.
Budget. There were no budget discussions in executive session today. The board did, however, take action with respect to the Byron Clinton corridor and purchasing 2 parcels. The board also, by consensus, agreed to recess this meeting and reconvene at 2 p.m. today at the Hinds County Adult Detention Facility in Raymond for the purpose of meeting with the monitor team at the Raymond Detention Center. That will likewise be an executive session, but we want to announce to the public what we're doing. They're certainly invited to come down there at 2 o'clock and watch us move into executive session with the monitor team. There were 2 other matters discussed, which were personnel matters, and there was no action taken on either of those personnel matters in executive session.
Thank you very much, Peter. Now we will entertain a motion, or we don't need a motion, Supervisor.
You need a motion to recess.
Before we get there,
Are we going on this item today?
I would ask that you bring it back up, having had discussion on it. If you want to re-urge your motion, it's on.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes.
We have one other personnel matter that, for some reason, we got passed with Ms. Parker.
Yes, Mr. President, board members, I apologize. There was one personnel item that did come forth that was submitted by Judge Frank Sutton from Justice Court, and he would like to contract with Ms. Gail Brown as drug court consultant to provide services for the misdemeanor drug court effective today at a rate of $9 an hour. This contract will be for 6 months and will be paid through the drug court fines. And so I want to bring that to your attention for your consideration.
What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second? Yes.
Yes.
On the personnel. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
And just so it's clear, following up on something we discussed in executive session, I will write that contract.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will now recess this meeting until 2 p.m. today, and we will reconvene the meeting at a different location at the Raymond Detention Center at 2 p.m. Okay? No, we don't need a motion.
You need a motion.
You need a motion to recess?
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to? Motion passes. We recess at what time?
12:12.
12:12. Thank you.